Board meeting of March 31st, 2025. At this time, I would ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Guthrie. Do I have a second? Seconded by Mr. Lee. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, we will call for the vote. Motion carries 7 in favor. All right, the next item on our agenda are public comments, and I believe this evening we have no public comments. Okay, so we will move directly into our superintendent's report.
Yes, Dr. Wimberly and the rest of the board. This evening we have our Citizens Advisory Review Team here this evening. In attendance is Mr. Jay Lombardo, Sue Gage, James Weaver, and General Henry Taylor. We have two members that could not join us this evening. That's Mr. James Pye and Allison Duke. They could not be here tonight, and so we would like to turn the mic over to Mr. Jay Lombardo to give an update on the CART. And those of you who are not familiar with the CART, they actually look over our referendum projects to make sure we're meeting all of our deadlines. And we really appreciate all the time and effort that they are giving to the district, and they're giving a lot of their time pro bono, so we really are giving all of their time pro bono. So thank you so much for what you do and keeping us on track. So, Mr. Lombardo.
Thank you very much, Dr. Wimberly. This is kind of tough to say it this way, interim superintendent.
Yes.
I'm going to get there.
Thank you.
Fellow members of the board. As a reminder, for those that are unfamiliar with the Citizens Advisory Review Team for DD2, we are an independent committee with oversight for last year's $200 million referendum of the district's school projects, upgrades to existing schools, and to build 2 elementary schools at the Ponds and the RB subdivisions. The CART has developed a master project list, and I hope you all have access to that. If you don't, it is at the DD2 website under the referendum, under the Citizens Advisory Review Team tab. That gives a stoplight visual of ongoing and future projects with the district. At the March 19th, 2025 CART meeting, updates of various projects were provided by the district's facility managers, who informed the CART on security and safety protocols and projects that included an update on the radio projects that are to be completed. Hopefully they were scheduled to be completed today, March 31st. Additionally, updates on the new security cameras that are set for August 1st, along with safety films for windows also to be completed on 1st of August. As those are updated, a check mark will be denoted on each of the projects for the S&L projects. Other projects to include walls and ceiling repairs will begin when the schools are out of session to ensure safety measures are followed in case there's any asbestos or other items of hazardous material discovered. Finally, we were informed of the issues with the conveyance of the property for the ponds. The delay for the conveyance has a direct impact on the anticipated 2026 school year for the district. The CART measures the impact of our spotlights coloring based on 4 elements: schedule, budget, timeliness, and operational. As we look at the Ponds Elementary, we find issues with the following: schedule, initially scheduled to break ground in January 2025. Budget, without the conveyance of the property, increases in building costs are expected. Timeliness, there is an estimate that for each delay of the property's conveyance, the expected 2026 completion is in jeopardy. And operational, September 2026 operational date is most definitely pushed to a later date. The CART, therefore, must show the Ponds Elementary as red on our stoplight chart. That is the opinion of the CART. Do you have any comments for us?
Mr. Farnsworth heads up our facilities team, so he may have some comments. I know he's been working closely with the CART team.
Yeah, for sure, and I appreciate it. And I think what we'd like to do, maybe we close out this section of the CART report and then get into more of a board discussion, because I do think, and this is it's an unfortunate but good segue into actions that the board is planning to undertake moving forward with that project specifically. So on that, I just want to echo what Mr. Doherty said earlier. Thank you, very, very meaningful thank you to the CART members. These are volunteers that have stepped up to genuinely make a difference for our school district and our children. So again, I just want to say thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
And I would like to say a few items too with Mr. Lombardo here. We really appreciate you looking over our projects, and this is something that's kind of been disheartening for us. I know our facilities team has worked extremely hard, having all of the permitting and everything ready to go on our end, and we're still just waiting for the final approval with the developer and the county. So I think that's kind of where we're at, and I know we can talk a little bit more about that in length, but we do appreciate you and your team helping us to get to that finish line is where we want to be. Again, that's what our community voted for. They voted for a school in the ponds, and that's what we intend to deliver, and I know that is what the CART intends to deliver. So just want to say thank you.
Thank you, sir.
At this time, I'll entertain item B on the superintendent's report, discussion of the ponds property with members of the board.
I'm looking at Dr. Wimberly to see who's going to take the lead on that. I will certainly take it as chair of the facilities committee. And again, I think as a board, we can certainly kind of get into as much historical context as anyone would like. I have had the privilege of being here through that historical context from the very beginning. When you look back into, I guess that was 2012, 2013, with the original referendum and how we get to today, unbelievably 12 years later, where we are still looking to build a school in the ponds. I certainly don't want to misspeak. I don't want to speak for anybody on the board, but I will tell you my intention is very much so that our board, our district proceeds with a school at the ponds. And the intent very clearly for anybody watching this, for anybody that replays this, for anybody that does not understand, the school district, whether it is tomorrow, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, hopefully much, much quicker than that, but I want to set the expectation that the school district will build a school at the ponds. We will never, ever, ever, ever give that land up to any other development other than a school at the ponds. So I want to make that very clear to anybody that might misunderstand that, that parameter. So if it pleases the board, we've got a letter. Obviously, everybody's seen it in their packets. If it's okay with everybody, I know it's a little bit lengthy, but I would like to read that letter, if that's okay. That way the community can kind of hear that, and then we'll talk about next steps. So the letter is dated as of today. This is to our partners at Coulter Homes, Dorchester County Government, as well as the community at large. The Dorchester School District 2 Board of Trustees remains committed to planning for the future of our students and families, especially in rapidly growing areas like the ponds. Our district has seen consistent and significant population increases, and with that growth comes the urgent need for additional school capacity. Over the past several months, the district has acted in good faith to move forward with construction of a new school in the ponds area. We have secured funding. We've engaged contractors and architects, and we've begun the permitting process to ensure we're ready to move as soon as the land is available. These proactive steps were taken with the clear intention of aligning school capacity with residential growth. We want to emphasize that while the developer has remained in compliance with the development agreement, the land needed for school construction could be deeded to the district at any time. The timeline is no longer limited by regulatory hurdles. It is a matter of choice and action. We had hoped the conveyance would occur in alignment with the planning efforts already underway, and we continue to urge our partners to consider the pressing needs of the community and the students we serve. The district is eager to move forward and remains committed to open communication and collaboration with both Coulter Homes and Dorchester County. We respectfully welcome the opportunity to meet and discuss any actions that could accelerate this project for the benefit of all stakeholders. Thank you to the families and community members who continue to support our mission. We will keep advocating for solutions that serve our students and uphold the values of Dorchester District 2. That's where we are. I am happy to entertain any questions, the good faith efforts that we have attempted to move this forward. And again, I want to be very clear, the developer and the county are still in accordance with their development agreement. We are not saying they're outside of that. But, and this is the big but, the caveat is the developer has the ability, the very real ability, if they wanted to, they could convey that land through the county to us with no restrictions. So I will leave it at that. And again, certainly ask for any or questions, concerns, or comments.
Thank you. I don't have any questions on the letter. I appreciate the time and effort that went in to try and convey, I think, accurately the feelings of the board. And much as I'm a history buff, don't want to go into the history, want to focus on, so where are we? Are we at a point where there is no recovery to get to opening a school in the ponds for the fall 2026 timeline? And if so, what are the implications for us as a district?
Yeah, and so to your point, I'm looking at Mr. Farrell and Mr. Souls. I would tell you from my understanding, if we were not to have shovels in the ground by the end of March, into very, very, very early April, there is just no way to overcome that. From a construction deadline perspective, to be able to get a school open in the fall of 26. So the discussion is now turned to potentially, because of what was stated earlier, right? Because now we have some budget concerns. As we continue to push this timeline out, that budget continues to creep up. And so, it turns to, if we can get this land deeded to us, which can be done, there's potential. Do we look at a December finish date, but then there's questions about what do you do with a facility for those months. So there's just a lot of logistical questions. But I would argue, and I'm looking at these guys out here that have done the brunt of it, I would argue we still need to move as quickly as possible.
And I think Mr. Souls, could probably talk a little more in detail about what has been done. I think what we can control on our end as a school district. I didn't know if you wanted to share any, Mr. Souls, about kind of where we're at with, I know we've kind of partnered with Hood Construction on a guaranteed maximum pricing. Kind of goes back what Mr. Lombardo said with his 3 points about budget and increases. And so what have we done as far as what we can control as a district? Have we done everything that we can control? Mr. Souls.
We are at that point where we have done everything we can do. We are on the cusp of agreeing to a guaranteed maximum price, but with the situation at hand, we might need to step back and take a breath, and because we don't know if it's going to be next month or next year. So, and we know there's going to be budget creep. To what extent is completely unknown. But we've got a meeting scheduled for next week. We have a monthly meeting now to touch base, see where we are contractually, see where we are with conveyance of the property, and kind of get a feel for where we are on pricing and what the subs are saying. because, in the grand scheme of things, when a contractor gets a project of this scope, they have subs lined up months in advance. They have superintendents lined up months in advance. And we come in weeks before kickoff and say, time out. That throws them into kind of a bad situation. So, but we're maintaining that line of communication. It's almost, every week we're talking with Hood, talking with the architects, and talking with everybody in the project that's involved, and just to maintain a good line of communication to let everybody know where we are, what we're doing, and we're still pushing, for the final permitting. We've got all the permits. We just need a letter from the county now. That's it, and that's the end of it. So we're there, and shovels are in hand.
So, Mr. Souls, clarify whether or not I'm thinking correctly. We are doing our part as a board, as a district. The difference of opinion as to what needs to happen is between the county and Culver, right?
So I think Mr. Farnsworth covered that very clearly, that everybody is in compliance. I mean, the letter of the agreement is being met, but they could at any moment. They could convey.
I'm just trying to determine where's the stalemate. What's keeping us from moving forward? We have two parties. We're in agreement. There are two other parties, so they have a what?
I wish I could answer that question. If I had that answer, we wouldn't be standing here talking about it right now.
So how do we go about helping them to resolve whatever the issue is?
I think Mr. Farnsworth has started it with this letter. I think we're still in conversations with the developer. We're still in conversations with the county, and so it's an ongoing process. Nobody has stopped and said and thrown in a towel. We can't do that. We've come too far to throw in the towel.
Okay.
So we're still massaging everything we can to make things fall out the way we need it to. Unfortunately, it's very, very razor thin on time right now, and I wouldn't want to stand here and put our contractor in a bad situation by telling you, if we start on X, we can be done by Y. I would not do that today.
No, I don't want you to do that. I just want, the public to understand we're at a stalemate and we're just on the side trying to determine what needs to be done. Because since I've been on this committee, facilities, I've heard this side and I've heard that side, but nobody seems to be wanting to come and bridge that gap, whatever it might be.
I don't know that I would call it a stalemate. I think it's a process, and I think we have to continue working through that process.
Okay.
To massage every possibility we can to continue our efforts at the ponds.
Okay. Well, I trust you. I don't know that much about building and doing all of these contractual issues and resolving them, but it just seems simple to me. You got point A and point B, and then you meet and come in the middle, and then you come up with a solution because you have all of these children waiting for a building to be able to have access to. So I don't know. Thank you.
I just want to say, I echo Mr. Farnsworth's sentiments that he shared. I'm grateful for this letter. As you've said, everybody's in compliance. While they're in compliance, that doesn't shed light on the fact that the funding's in place, the plans are ready, and this only hurts kids. So I hope that we can put kids first, and everybody and everything they do, every meeting they have, let's think about the kids. The kids should be what we're thinking about. So thank you, Mr. Farnsworth, for taking the time on this letter.
So all that said, moving forward, I think we want to, of course, take some action on this letter to be able to provide that out to the community and those partners. And then next steps, what we've got lined up, and I want to make sure with Mr. Doherty as well, next week. So next Monday, April 7th, if you will put that on your calendar, 6:30 p.m., we are planning to hold a community meeting specifically about this issue, about the ponds, the school and the ponds. That will be at Sand Hill Elementary School. So April 7th, 6:30 p.m., Sand Hill Elementary School. Of course, this will get out, to the channels we have available. I know, Mr. Doherty, we had spoken about ensuring that our school communities, because that is a huge impact to those communities over there, to make sure they know about this meeting. I think it's important that they get this information. Is that something have we talked about that? Are we able to get that out?
Yes, we'll be able to do that through our parent square.
Okay.
So, yes.
Perfect. So those will be the next actions. So as a board, again, our intent is to then get this information out. We'll use this letter as kind of the backbone for that meeting, but just to be able to get out any sort of community information that we can.
And I'm assuming it's going to go out like tomorrow or something like that. I mean, it's on the 7th, and that's one of the issues sometimes the public have. They don't have advance notice, so just making sure it's done in a timely manner.
Yes, Ms. Powell, we will definitely have that ready to go with the letter as well.
Absolutely. And again, super quick, and I know we have a lot of members in the community that are very ingrained in their local HOAs and their boards and those sorts of things. So we would appreciate the help getting that out to those communities as well for that meeting next week.
And I was just going to say, before we close this out, I think one other just important piece to talk about is why that timeline is so important. And I mean, and obviously the increase in the budget, the promise of an opening of a school in August as part of the referendum. But also, I think, when we're talking about opening a school, it's going to involve rezoning. And so if we were able to open the school in September, October, November, it's not really going to do us a lot of good because you can't move kids, in the middle of a school year. And so that could create a potential issue of an empty school for months, which none of us want to see happen. And then also there's the domino effect of just of rezoning and what that looks like and how it affects kids across the entire district. And it's the goal of this board, and I know district leadership, to not continue to rezone our district, because that is definitely a hardship on our families and our students. So that is why we are so passionate about this and why it is so important for us to try everything we can to keep this timeline as we had planned. So, and does anybody else have any further questions or discussion? Okay, so if not, then at this time, what I would like to do is ask for a motion to put the full support of this board behind this letter, and also to share this letter, so to support and share this letter with our community families and families.
So moved.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Lee, seconded by Mr. Guthrie. Any further discussion or questions? Okay, then hearing none, we will call for the vote. All right, and the motion carries 7 in favor. Thank you.
And before we move on, I'd just again like to thank Mr. Lombardo, Mrs. Susan Gage, James Weaver in general, Henry Taylor for coming this evening and supporting us as we move to getting a school in the ponds. So thank you very much for coming. We appreciate it. As you can see on your board agenda, we'll move on to item 4C, which is an organizational chart positions update. If we can, we'll pull up one of our first items on there, organization chart, when we talk about looking at adding from our PD coaches going to instructional content specialist. And those positions, when we look at that, we'll have 4, and I'll go back into this and kind of explain to you. We will actually have 4 at the middle school and high school level. So there'll be 1 language arts, 1 math, 1 social studies, and 1 science. At that level, they'll be supervised by Mr. Cannon, who is the Director of Secondary Education. We will then have 4 at the elementary level, 2 for language arts and 2 for math, and they will be supervised by Carrie Ball Hodge, who is our Director of Elementary, and those would be a 210-day contract. They would help out during the summer for professional development, writing curriculum, looking at any of the new instructional materials that we get in, especially when we're looking at textbook adoption and those items. And so that is on your chart when you're looking at curriculum and instruction. So those are those positions. So one of the questions was asked, what about social studies or science for having in the elementary? Our curriculum and instruction team believe that the support from a good PLC lead at each grade level and each subject. So example, we would like to see possibly 6 social studies and 6 science at our elementary with the help and support of Jessica Farnsworth, one of our assistant directors in elementary, and in Carrie Ball. They will be enough to help support our teachers in those 2 subjects. Our plan would be to have those 12 people, 6 social studies, 6 science. They would be the liaison for grade level and could lead vertical and horizontal alignment for standards and curriculum development. We would look at our best teachers in these 2 areas to lead our district. They would be able to hold PLC meetings via Teams and work directly with Jessica and Carrie. This would also empower teacher leaders and create collective buy-in across science and social studies. The more we give opportunities to our teachers to step up and be leaders will help us grow our own. And so again, the only tested area in science and social studies is actually in science right now, and that is in grade 4. And we have already kind of, when we look at those scores, we'll look at those science scores and which teacher is actually performing the best when we're looking at student achievement. And again, we also do not do common assessments for science and social studies. We do that in language arts and math. And again, that's why the need for a content area specialist in the elementary in language arts and math and not science and so much social studies. And so again, those leads would really help in doing that curriculum. And so again, that's kind of the why behind that, why we're asking for permission from the board for your approval of those positions, what those would look like. But again, if we had our way in our magic wand, we would love to add more math people, because if you look at our data, based on data driving our decision making, we'd like to have more content area specialists in the area of math. However, when we just got done with our budget meeting, we're looking at, again, trying to do what we can do with what we have. And so this is what we feel like when talking with our team, these positions what we need, especially in the curriculum instruction area.
If I could ask a couple questions. So, we're not, as a board or as a district, trying to teach to a test. We know that, yeah, there are scores, and those scores in math and reading make up our overall scorecard. But that's not our goal here. With the science and social studies, is there anything that prevents us from doing our own internal assessments to gauge how effectively these content specialists and coaches and whatnot are being to help our elementary and middle school teachers who teach social studies and science, to ensure that we're doing the right things to help them out, even though we don't have a formal assessment? And then secondly, these changes that we're talking about here, these were all considered as part of the discussion with the budget and everything already, correct?
That is correct on question 2, yes, Mr. Lee. And I have Katie Barker, who can kind of answer that formal question that you had as the curriculum instruction. She is our chief academic officer, and she was a big help in when we were pulling this plan together. So I'll just kind of turn that question over to
Sure.
Katie.
Thank you. So, and also to address the question about, certainly we could always add additional assessments. At the elementary level, we do offer common assessments for social studies and science at the secondary level. And that is for many reasons that we don't. We have many years ago in the past done them. We moved away from them for several reasons. One, primary children, elementary age children, and just an over assessment. They work, they already have usually 2 common assessments for ELA, 2 for math, in addition to our progress monitoring assessments, their regular classroom assessments. So feedback from teachers, from administrators, really we're almost assessing more than we are, we're almost testing more than we're teaching. But also to be in alignment with the purposes of those common assessments are to change and target the instruction, and we're just seeing more of a need for that in science and social studies, or in ELA and math, as opposed to science and social studies. Also, the teachers in an elementary setting usually teach all content areas, or math, science, and social studies. So just taking so much time for those assessments, and there's not necessarily, you are correct, we want students to be well-rounded in all content areas. Not science and social studies are just as important as reading and math. Just because there's not a state assessment at the end of the year doesn't mean that content is any less important. But we also see a lot more, what we want to see a lot more of, and we're working towards, is more integration of that content as well, so that the ELA teacher may not have a social studies common assessment, but we are integrating and assessing a lot of that social studies content that way, even though that teacher might not even be the social studies teacher of record. Did that answer some of those questions?
It does, and thank you for that. And, this is the danger of me actually using your terminology and not mine. I probably shouldn't have used common assessment. I'm thinking in terms of how are we determining whether the support we're providing for elementary and middle school teachers in the area of content for social studies and science is having some effect. Okay, I agree with you, we overtest everything, but I'm thinking of things like quizzes or whatever to tell us whether or not the kids are getting the education that they need, the teachers have the support that they need. And also, I guess, add on to that question, how does this align with our curriculum around elementary school social studies and middle school social studies? Same thing for science. And if those things are all in alignment and we're confident that our teachers have the tools and skills that they need and the students are actually mastering the material at their grade level, then that's good. We don't need any more formal assessments. I would agree with that.
Sure. So certainly we do that in a lot of ways. Our teacher feedback, we have, even though we may not have, as we move into next year, a science or social studies elementary curriculum lead, we still get teacher feedback because there are science and social studies pacing guides, curriculum plans, resources at the district level that are all of our teachers use. So we will get feedback, and that's how we monitor the effectiveness of that. We have resources for testing, even if it's not a district assessment. So we get feedback from schools and monitor the effectiveness of what we are pushing out to teachers to use, and then assessing the effectiveness of it through the teacher feedback. Yeah, absolutely.
I just wanted to clarify, just for the public's sake, that we are not necessarily adding new positions. We're reclassifying what was previously the PDC positions and separating them out into the instructional technology and the curriculum specialist, just so it doesn't look like we're adding a bunch of stuff to the org chart. I know people see that and get in their feelings and wonder what we're doing, but it's really just, I guess, less positions technically, as well as more direct positions to kind of what their original intent was.
Yes, and I can answer that. So you went from the PDC position where we had 26 of those. Of those 26, they were taken out of Title I, Title II, and in some general fund. So 7.5 were taken out of the general fund, which we're currently paying right now. So those 8 you could say, that we're going to use as content specialists would be those positions. And so we're really going to add 6 positions to the general fund. Which would be your content, or would be your ITS positions.
So, yeah, I guess I said that wrong. I meant to say prior to
Yes.
the consolidation of the PDC positions and putting them under the Title I money. We're just kind of going back to what we had before. But we are going to have to cover some out of the general fund as a result to not being able to use the funds.
Correct, and I think, and to kind of go on your point, where you said what we did before were 26 positions, and those were all funded out of the general fund. Then we took those positions, put them in some in Title I and Title II, and then we were just told we cannot use those Title I and Title II funds, and so now they're coming back out of that. And so our plan is these positions, they have new job descriptions, 210 days, and then our plan is if the board approves these positions, we'll then post those for 7 days. These people will all get to apply for those positions if they would like to interview for those positions, because many of them have been sought out for other positions in other districts, and even some of our other buildings, they're going to go into teaching positions. We feel like we need to do this as one of the first things that we're doing in our budget, because these people have done amazing work for us, and unfortunately, we look at it, it comes down to the money and looking at what we can afford and meet the needs of our academic team and the needs of our teachers. And so that's kind of why we've decided to go this route. And so, yes, you are exactly right. We are not adding a bunch of positions into our budget. I'm glad you clarified that.
Well, and yeah, and I just want to say thank you for prioritizing this. I know this is essential to our student success, so I'm glad that this is the top of mind when we're looking at our budget, so thank you.
I do want to say I concur with Mr. Lee in the question about determining whether or not our kids are getting it on the lower level. Now, I'm not saying that we need to implement it this year, not even next year, but I would like us to look at making an earlier determination as to whether or not those kids that aren't there yet, and they have not yet mastered what they need to master on that grade level, kindergarten, whatever their requirements are for that grade, to make sure that they've got it when it comes to the science and social studies. And it could be something that we make in district, as Mr. Lee has suggested, and it's not formal, but yet it gives the teacher a better idea as to where those kids are. Sometimes we could always do more, and so if we had the money, of course, we could just, but right now, we don't have the funding, and so what we would like to do is, at least I would like you to think about it. I haven't thought it all out in my mind. I'm just listening to what he said, and it kind of resonated with me. So it's just something to have on your thought calendar for next year, the year after, or something like that. Thank you.
Any other questions on these positions here? One other position that has always kind of been on the org chart, Ms. Thomas, if you could go back to the yes, thank you. Yes, that one right there. You can see it says MTSS coordinator. We did have in the previous org chart was Read 180 and Math 180 coordinator. We're changing this to MTSS coordinator. This will allow us to save some dollars because we can pay it out of our ATSI money. So half the salary of this position will be paid out of ATSI money. So again, trying to get creative in how we can save some money at the district office and pay for this person's salary. So again, it's still a coordinator's position. It's not been elevated. It's always been a coordinator's position on our org chart. Has not been paid as a coordinator before. It was not paid as that, but it was always on our org chart as a coordinator. So I just wanted the board to be aware of that. But it will finally be paid as a coordinator's position. They will be doing a lot of work with MTSS across the district, and will also be doing work with Read 180 and Math 180. So they're picking up additional duties, and it will be a 245 contract. So again, coordinator's position. It was always on the org chart that way. However, it was never paid as a coordinator. Just want to be very clear and transparent on that. So that's that position there. And then moving on to the next one on our technology, Ms. Thomas, if you could go to that next slide. So the next one is right there, educational technology, ETS. You can see there the 6 people that we'll be using for instructional technology will go under the assistant director of instructional technology, those 6 positions. And what will they do? I'll give you an example of those 6. Somebody will be in charge of Parent Square, formative, PLTW. Another can be doing Clever, ClassLink, Secure, RoboHelp. The third one could be Edmentum, Discovery Education, Safari Montage. Fourth one would be Schoology, Lumio, EdPlan Platform. Fifth one will be Tableau, NWA Map, STEM Learning. And the 6th one will be Canvas, Adobe, and then Course Design. However, all 6 of them will have to be articulate in Microsoft 360, Adobe Captivate, Educational AI, and then also digital citizenship. All of them will have to do that across the district. So, working with our technology team and also our academic team of coming up with these programs that our teachers are expected to be able to use, we want to be able then to give them the support on this, where we felt like that's where a lot of our PDCs were having to be kind of the jack of all trades, doing all of this plus content. And so we do feel like the content specialists, separating those out and just focusing on academics and curriculum, and this one's more focused on technology, instructional technology, and how we're incorporating that. So that we're asking for those 6 positions this evening, and you can see where they fall in the org chart. And again, that's a 210-day contract as well. So just asking for board permission and approval for those positions.
So, and if I can, just super quick, one thing I'd be remiss if I didn't say, when I think about Dorchester District 2 and what has always made us the special place that it is, right? Because a lot of what we talk about in today's world is teacher recruitment and retention. And we've always said it's more than just pay, right? Pay is 100% extremely important. No one is questioning that. But on top of that, it's things I would classify as supports, right? And so when I think about Dorchester District 2 and what we have historically always done better than those around us are the supports from a district level, right? Because our job as a board, job as a superintendent, everybody in this district office, the entire job that we do every single day is to support a teacher when they close that door, to make sure they have the tools, resources, and everything they need to teach those kids. That's it. And we have to give them those supports. And so I think pieces like this are really important because it allows us to give district level supports to every single school. It's not just individualized schools, but it allows us to give tailored support for every single school in a way that is equitable across the entire school district. And so again, that's why I look at plans like this as steps in the right direction. I'll say steps back in the right direction. How about that? All that said, if we can, I don't know how you want to split it. I think are the content specialists already split out? How do you want to vote on those? Here's why. It's very specific. The content level specialists for the elementary schools, if we can split those positions out, I don't know, it's up to you guys, or you can just take out content specialists because I need to abstain from voting on the elementary school content level specialists.
Makes sense.
It's up to you guys. If you want to just do content specialists and I don't have to vote on any of them, that's fine. Or if you want to do middle school, high school, and just separate out elementary school, so I can abstain from that one, that would be fine as well.
I was just going to say, I thought could we just make a motion to approve? Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Never mind.
Yeah, Madam Chairman, I would move that we separate the elementary and the middle, and then allow Mr. Farnsworth to abstain.
Okay, yes. Absolutely. Okay, so then let's first ask for a motion to approve the organizational chart update regarding the MTSS coordinator job description.
So
So
moved.
moved.
Okay. Motion made by Mr. Lee, seconded by Ms. Bates. Any discussion? All right, all in favor? Okay, we'll just do these by hand. Okay, and the motion carries 7 in favor. All right, next I will ask for a motion to approve the middle and high school level content specialist jobs organizational chart updates. Okay, motion made by Ms. Bates, seconded by Mr. Farnsworth. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, we'll call for the vote. All right, 7 in favor, motion carries. And then finally, I will ask for a motion to approve the organizational chart update regarding the elementary level content specialist jobs. Okay, motion made by Ms. Powell, seconded by Ms. King. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor? All right, 6 in favor, and 1 abstention. Yes, motion carries. Did we get them all? Yeah. No. Oh,
Technology.
okay, sorry, I apologize. All right, so so now I would ask for a motion to approve the organizational chart updates regarding the technology specialist, instructional technology specialist, I apologize. Okay, motion made by Ms. Bates, seconded by Ms. Powell. Any discussion? All right, hearing none, we will call for the vote. Okay, motion carries 7 in favor. Did I miss anything else? Okay.
Thank you.
Sorry. Thank you. Appreciate that very much.
And the next we have is a personnel report for the board to take action on.
Okay, and if the board is okay with this, we will hold off in doing this after we return from executive session. So I think we will vote on that after that. And so we can move straight into the student enrollment recommendations. And board members, are you okay with proceeding with that in open session? Okay. Can I ask for a motion to approve the student enrollment recommendations as presented? Okay, motion made by Mr. Guthrie.
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Bates. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, we will call for the vote. That one we should be able to do electronically. Okay, motion carries 7 in favor. Does that conclude your presentation for now, Mr. Doherty?
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Great information. Okay, the next item on our agenda are public comments, and we do not have any public comments this evening. So, board members, at this time, I would ask for a motion to convene into executive session for personnel matters, as well as the personnel matter regarding our interim superintendent. Okay, motion made by Ms. Bates.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Guthrie. Any discussion? All right, none, we will call for the vote. This should be electronic as well. All right, and the motion carries 7 in favor. We are in executive session and we will return. Okay, motion made by Ms. Bates, seconded by Mr. Lee. Any discussion? All right, hearing none, we'll call for the vote. Motion carries 7 in favor. We are back in open session. All right, board members, at this time, I'd ask for any motions as action from our executive session.
Madam Chair, I move that we accept the Fort Dorchester Elementary School personnel recommendation as presented in our packet.
All right, thank you, Mr. Farnsworth. Do I have a second? Seconded by Ms. Bates. Any discussion? All right, hearing none, we will call for the vote. Motion carries 7 in favor. All right, any further motions?
Yes, Madam Chair, I move that we authorize you to send a letter to Chad Doherty confirming the terms of his assignment as interim superintendent, including that effective March 10th, 2025, during the time period in which he serves as interim superintendent of the district, he will receive a monthly supplement of $1,250, along with a monthly automobile allowance of $1,000 for in-district travel.
All right, thank you, Ms. Bates. Do I have a second? Okay, seconded by Ms. King. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, we will do a hand vote. All in favor? All right, motion carries 7 in favor. Okay, thank you very much. And I believe that is it. So at this time, I would ask for a motion to adjourn. Okay, motion made by Ms. Bates, seconded by Mr. Lee. All in favor? It's probably a vote, yeah. One last vote.
Did I do a Barbara?
Motion carries 7 in favor. We are adjourned.